Before I start this episode of The Aftermath, I wish to pass on my condolences to the family of Jack Charlton. Jack played in the England World Cup winning team alongside his brother Bobby, as well as West Ham's trio of Jeff, Hurst, Martin Peters, and of course Sir Bobby Moore. Before I actually get into the review as well, I'd just like to say I am feeling really knackered. I finished work late last night. I got in at about 11:30, went to bed about midnight, woke up at 5 a.m. to watch the West Ham game, and I'm running on very little sleep. Was worth getting up for though, as West Ham fans know now. I'm going to get into my review of the game and who I thought was excellent, because there were a lot of good individual performances today, and particularly one player, and I think we know who that is. So it was overall, West Ham fully deserved the win. I expected nothing less than a win going into the game, given how bad Norwich are. West Ham won very comfortably 4-0. Norwich showed some spells of potential, but they just didn't have any end product. They just don't have the quality for the Premier League. And as a result, this win for West Ham means that Norwich are relegated back to the Championship. Changes were made to the team, and at first I was thinking, this looks a little bit negative, this isn't what I was looking for. I noticed Cresswell and Fredericks were starting, and I'd been asking them to be dropped because of how error-prone they've been. Mark Noble was starting, and that was a bit of a surprise. I was like, well, Noble's been a bit slow when he was starting before, and then he was benched, so starting him, what's the logic in that? And he also had the captain's armband as well. Maybe it was just to add something else to the midfield. Maybe it was to get him back in command. I'm not 100% sure what the initial thought was. Also, Antonio started on his own up front. Bowen and Fornals were on the wings. I was surprised that Fornals was not dropped, because he has had a very poor previous 2 games. But overall, that team lineup was looking quite defensive against a team that's struggling for wins and can't score goals. So like I say, my initial thought was, well, what's Moyes doing here? Why are we playing 2 DMs and a back 4 against a Norwich team that doesn't really pose any real threat? One thing that really worked to West Ham's advantage in the first half was executing set pieces. And it showed because the first 2 goals were from set pieces. The corner came in, Diop does very well to read that ball, heads it on, Antonio is unmarked, good turn, watches the ball as it drops and he fires it past Tim Krul. Very good finish, and it got West Ham the start they needed. And I felt that after that goal, West Ham's confidence going forward was just getting better. Souček was set up by Antonio. Souček took 1 touch too many, and Krul managed to get it away. But we were threatening. Every time Norwich had the ball, it was Declan Rice tracking back and winning back the balls. Ogbonna as well was doing that. And he celebrates 5 years of joining West Ham today. He was solid as well. I also thought that going forward, Jarrod Bowen was getting involved quite a lot. He was cutting inside. Unlucky not to score. I actually had a feeling that he'd score in the game. He didn't though, but he still made a big contribution. He was dominant as well, as he has been week in, week out. A second goal was another set piece. Mark Noble whips the ball in. Antonio gets his head on. It's 2-0 to West Ham. Antonio is a real aerial threat for us, and it was very good header from him. Controls it and goes into the bottom corner. Noble as well at this point was actually having a good game because he provided that assist and he was passing the ball around very well. So it seemed like the break really helped Noble to find his feet again. West Ham didn't make any changes at half-time, and I don't think Moyes really needed to. We were 2-0 up, things were in control. Having said that, though, I did have this feeling that West Ham could get careless and throw the lead away, as has been the case before, because it happened against Brighton. So I was praying that did not happen. Thankfully it didn't, because West Ham saw the game through and increased the lead. Michail Antonio went one-on-one with Krul. Krul saved it. It goes up in the air. Antonio was in the right place, right time to chest it down, get it over the line, and get his first professional hat-trick. Great moment for him. And for West Ham as well, because that was the first hat-trick West Ham has scored since Andy Carroll against Arsenal in 2016. Antonio was just dominant the whole game, and what was even better was the fact that he scored a fourth goal even later on. Ryan Fredericks used his pace, got into the box, crossed at close range to Antonio, who backheeled it into the net. And now that means that Michail Antonio is the first ever Hammer to score 4 goals in a Premier League game, and the first Hammer to score 4 since David Cross did so against Spurs in 1981. So it's a big landmark for Michail Antonio for those 3 reasons. Hat-trick, 4 goals, and first player to do it in 39 years. Also in the second half, I know fans might disagree with this, but Ryan Fredericks actually had an alright second half. He used his pace and he used his dribbling a lot, and if he just did that so more often, fans wouldn't get on his back so much. That's the one quality Fredericks has. He's a very attacking right back, similar to what Trent Alexander-Arnold is. Fredericks had a pretty decent game. Cresswell, between poor and okay. Cresswell didn't make any fatal errors, which was a good thing. Fornals was okay as well. He didn't make any serious errors, but he did give the ball away once or twice. Having said that, Fornals was going forward a lot as well, which was good, but I'd still drop him. And the other thing that was really good was that, wait for this, Moyes used 5 substitutes. He used 5 substitutes. I mean, it wouldn't have made a difference because West Ham were 4-0 up anyway, but he actually used that option for the first time. Had to have a lie down, actually. I was shocked that he did it. But still, at that point, West Ham were fully in control of the game. Norwich never showed any threat. And I've actually just seen some of the statistics after the game, mainly revolving around Antonio's goals. And for some players, and for Norwich as well, it's something not to look at. You see, Michail Antonio's 4 goals in that game was 1 less than the total Norwich have scored in this calendar year. And also, Antonio scored 4 goals in 1 game, and that is more goals this season than Joe Linton, Alisson Maximan, who are 2 players that Newcastle paid a lot of money for, as well as many others. Have to bear in mind, and just to say that, Joe Linton cost Newcastle United 40 million. He's only scored twice this season. Antonio cost West Ham, 7 million, I think it was? And he's already en route to getting double-digit figures in goals. And he's West Ham's leading goal scorer this season. I also want to touch base on a few individual performances as well. It's particularly the Rice-Souček combination. Rice looks so more comfortable and a little less stressed now that Souček's there because he's got a defensive mid-partner and the 2 of them can work together and ease the pressure off of each other. It's not a one-man job anymore. Declan Rice doesn't have to do everything in the midfield. Souček's helping him too. Also in the back, Ogbonna had a solid game. Diop had a solid game. Those 2 are a fantastic centre-back duo. I used to like Diop and Barbuena, and the only reason for that was because both of them played well under the first stages of the Manuel Pellegrini era. But I think that we should keep that defensive centre-back pair the exact same going forward. Fabianski made some good saves when he was called upon. He made a really good one towards the end of the first half. Also, I think, like I mentioned, Jarrod Bowen had a really good game. He was running, getting past the players and unlucky not to score. But other than that, I think that everyone in the team did really, really well today. I also have to give credit to David Moyes' signings. Fans get on David Moyes back a hell of a lot, but the signings he has made, he's made 2 in January, both young players, and they've been excellent. And the other thing is, they've not come from glamorous, big, rich, fancy clubs. Thomas Souček came from Slavia Prague, Jarrod Bowen comes from Hull City. They're not exactly big-name, wow teams, but they're hard-working players and they're very good. So based on his ideas for signings, it could be onto something. You can interpret that what you will, and you can leave your opinion in the comments about that. But I think that Moyes has made some decent signings this January transfer window, and they've benefited West Ham completely. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Aftermath. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, I'm going to be doing a From the Anvil very soon. It's been 2 weeks since I last did one, and it's high time that I upload one to my channel. Thank you very much for watching, take care, and I'll see you all soon.